thank you all for coming out in this wicked rain, which we all agree is so much better than last year's feature when it was 5 feet of snow. So, we all have families, we all have pasts, we all have things that we love about our families and things that we're not so lovable about our families. My first poem tonight is called, I Remember the Family That We Were. I remember I was 4, then 5, and my dad came home late after working second shift. My mother would have full-blown dinners ready, and I would sit on his lap and eat fish dinners or liver and onions. My mother, the stunner, fashioned herself after Jackie. She wore pillbox hats to church, white gloves held my hand. He was fixated on islands and warm weather. He created a hammock that hung over the master bed. My brother and I took turns sleeping there until my father got tired of having the kids hover over him. My mother became ill, hospitalized. That cramped my father's style, and I remember him taking my brother and I to Dante's bar. We sat at a corner table with a soda pop. Handsome him sat at the bar with a beer and a babe. After my mother came home diagnosed with polio, he didn't want their life to change, but it did. With her no longer perfect, he sought that elsewhere. So one day he was gone, and I remember the family that we were, and I still cannot eat fish or liver and onions. I was a responsible child. My life had some bumps, even on my early road. My parents lost everything in a flood twice in Meadville. They moved to Erie. My mother gorgeous, my father handsome. Sadly, that doesn't pay the bills. My beautiful mother became stricken with polio shortly before my 6th birthday. My father drove off shortly after my 6th birthday with a seemingly healthy woman, never to be heard of again. I was a responsible child. My grandparents told me that my mother needed help. My mother asked for help. I was a responsible child. A 6-year-old child more responsible than the man who made her. My mother went to rehabilitation. She learned to do everything one-handed that others do it too. She learned to use her brain that was sharp and good with numbers. She worked her way up the ladder to head collector at both the Boston store and the First National Bank. I was a responsible child, whether learned behavior or from female genetic preclusions. I submitted to a project called Things I Wish I Had Told Myself When I Was 17. He did just not have a bad day. You weigh 110 pounds and in nowhere land is that fact. He's not sorry he hit you. He did it last week. He will not get better if you pray harder. He will not change if you strive to be more perfect. You will never be good enough because no one will ever be good enough. He really is a loser, like your mom said. You don't have to understand. He's the one making the marital vows. He's the one not treating you better than himself. God will forgive you, and dying is not what God wants for you. The kids need a father, and they don't need to watch you die. The kids will be better off without the stress. You can do this on your own. You are a survivor. You are amazing. You will heal, and you will shine again. And I think I'm doing just that. I was the tall Tabor candle once, with the shiny golden holder, and everyone admired me. I was something with a bright flickering light. I gave off illumination and guidance. Then slowly, surely, there would be a drip, and then another drip, and then drips added to drops to make a wax stream down my side like a wicked scar from trying too hard. The warm, soft wax then puddled around my bottom, and I became shorter with a smaller flame. Then drip by drop, shorter, until I feared being snuffed out. My past struggles caused me to push and pull and define muscles. My past struggles caused me to think out every single angle and created a problem solver. My past struggles caused me to examine every side of an issue and strengthened my brain. My past struggles caused me to man up and carry the load. My past struggles caused me to soften and become completely compassionate. My past struggles caused wounds and I learned to heal them. My past struggles caused me to become who I am today, and I am whole. I promise to lighten it all up at the end, I promise. My parents have passed and my oldest son has passed. And this is called They Have Flown. They have flown like ravens in the night, or as an eagle soars on weathered wings. They have flown free of earthly bodies, free of mortgages and diagnoses, fear of the unknown and of knowledge, free of fitting in and facing the fire. They have flown like saints or angels, bubbles or butterflies. They have flown free like my family and left me here. This summer I had an exciting experience where I had some serious heart palpitations and I ended up in the hospital overnight. It was pretty scary. They decided it was nothing, but it was something, trust me. So afterwards, a week afterwards, I went to visit my parents and my son at the Erie Cemetery. Gravesite visit. After near-death fears, I spoke to my son Mark and told him I thought I'd been near. I swept the leaves from his rock while I wiped away tears, and as I ended my talk, from a tree feet away squealed a red-tailed hawk, staring my way. I thanked him and said that I knew he was Mark, watching and protecting over my heart. I waited a while, hoping to see him fly, when I realized he soldiered, guarding my parents nearby. So I took a deep breath and blew the hawk a sweet kiss and drove away with a sigh. And now we'll lighten it up. There are certain sayings that you hear your whole life, and some of them you're like, yeah, and some of them it's like, stop saying that. When life gives you lemons. It has been said that when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Well, my life taught me to squeeze and believe in the aid that was coming. Every setback showed me how to cut and chop at those lemons. I learned recipes. I created recipes. I made lemonade, lemon meringue, lemon margaritas, lemon squares. And then I met Bear. And now I make pizza and pasta and steak and eggs and scalloped potatoes and ham.
Yay, ham.
This one takes a little prop. No, it's not a puppet, I promise. Panhandling. I wear my fingerless gloves and I pull my collar up against the words, whipping about, some so cold my spine can't take anymore. Others sizzle in my ears. I have my rusted tin can collecting whatever words a fella can spare. Heated words, heartless words, harming words, happy and helpful words. My can now full to the brim with trim, self-satisfying, fulfilling words.
Yeah.
On New Year's Eve, Bear and I, during the day, we stopped at the Tipsy Bean. It's a coffee shop that at some point is also going to have alcohol, which is why the word tipsy. And they had a singer-songwriter there who was phenomenal. I mean phenomenal. I've been around music my whole life. I don't just say that about anybody. His name was Matthew Joseph Craze. So this is the song that came from listening to him. He doesn't just sing a song, and he writes his own music for a lot of them, but he slaps a guitar and he stomps his feet. I mean, he just oozes music. The singer-songwriter was left, like they all are. He croons of the lover lost, who sailed away, frenetic strumming and pounding, drumming his heartache out into thin air. And I love the brokenness that was singing through. And I hope that he sails away in love again. And then on Saturday, this last Saturday, we stopped back at the Tipsy Bean after dinner, and they had a different singer-songwriter, and his name was Tommy Link. Tall, talking to the rafters, goodbyes from eyes that lied about love and loneliness. His harmonica cries about long ago lost love, gone and not coming back. He turned and tuned memories into melodies, trying to make sense of it all. And somehow I took the book I was going to read out of and I moved it. So hang on one second, would you please? About that, we were moving things around and I put my book in the box. So I'm a poet, and what poets do, I'd like to think of myself as a poet. Maybe I should put it that way. One of the things we do is work with words. So this is one of my poems, one of my many poems about words. The words well up like tears pushing back against my eyelids, words jumbled in the farthest corners of my throat. They devote energy into welling and willing themselves off my tongue like Olympic divers in their strongest competition. I, in recognition of their diligence and devotion, attempt to say with the utmost emotion so that you will understand that these words command your attention. I did bring some books for sale tonight. I have Broken Branches in the black and white version, and the darker cover is the color version. I have The Past is Present, and I also have Poetography, which is my collaboration with my son and grandson, which is really exciting to me because it has their photographs, their creative endeavors, and then I wrote poems to them. And it was so exciting to see them excited that their work had caused someone else to create. So I highly encourage you to take a peek at that. This, my last poem for the night, Nightmares. In the fade from blackness to dusk, they are there faint and feeble, soft and subtle, nudging and scratching my brain awake. Like bats returning to the attic before dawn, memories where more words welcome and not. Thoughtful that reconstituted feelings better left dead or unsaid, unfelt and undealt with, unrequited, unquiet, people I loved who shoved me away, mourned yet scorned. Now in the face of the place where I sleep, I let go of the place where I have been and did weep. I can think slow, I can bask in joy, and grow to my full potential, where love lets go and scores because we know the barn door is always open and we can saunter back in together. I apologize for any of my stalling. I forgot to put my contact in tonight, so it was just a little off. But I thank you all so much for coming out to see me.